The Honda CB750 Hornet. A Honda's attempt to take down the reigning best-selling Yamaha MT-07 and rule over the crowded middleweight naked bike segment. Does the Hornet have what it takes to beat the MT-07? In terms of horsepower output, the CB750 Hornet, which has a bigger engine, produces significantly more horsepower than the MT-07, around 18 horsepower, or 24% more. Torque-wise, the master of torque, the Yamaha MT-07, must admit defeat to the Hornet, which is capable of churning out 7 Nm more torque. Then, if we take a look at the dyno chart, at the bottom to mid-rev range, the Hornet, which has a higher revving engine and a more extreme over-square layout, surprisingly has strong and decent bottom to mid-end power. Although, compared to the MT-07, the Hornet's engine feels more calm and mild-mannered, with more linear power delivery. The power delivery characteristic isn't as exciting, snappy, or instant as the MT-07's, but it still has decent and fast acceleration from a standstill. Then, from the middle to the top rev range, the Hornet shows its superiority with a much stronger top-range grunt. In terms of fueling and throttle response, some users report that the Hornet's throttle is a bit snatchy, with the initial opening and closing of the throttle can feel a bit clumsy. Weight-wise, the MT-07 wins this round with 6 kg less curb weight than the Hornet. But, in terms of power-to-weight ratio, the power output advantage of the Hornet is simply too big to bridge, with the Hornet's power-to-weight ratio being 20% higher than the MT-07. Price-wise, the Hornet is among the cheapest in its class. The more powerful and better-equipped Hornet surprisingly undercuts the MT-07 by around $300. Both manufacturers use parallel twin engines with a 270-degree crank, a thing that most manufacturers choose for their middleweight parallel twin motorcycles nowadays. The 270-degree crank gives them the same firing order and sound as a 90-degree V-twin, where most power and torque output are produced lower in the mid-range. Beside Honda and Yamaha, Suzuki, Aprilia, and BMW also have 270-degree cranks on their middleweight parallel twin bikes, the Suzuki GSX-8s, the Aprilia Tuono 660, and the BMW F900R. The Hornet displacement is 66 cc larger than the MT-07. Both have an over-square or short-stroke layout, with the Hornet's bore-stroke ratio being higher than the MT. The Hornet's 1.37 bore-stroke ratio is higher than most comparable current production parallel twins, including the Tuono 660 and KTM Duke 890, and they're pretty sporty motors. MT-07 compression ratio is 11:5:1, slightly higher than Hornet. Both engines are liquid-cooled. And for the valve train, the MT-07 uses a double overhead cam setup with 4 valves per cylinder, while Honda chose something different. They chose a single overhead cam setup with 4 valves per cylinder, or what Honda called unicam, where a single overhead camshaft acts directly on the 4 intake valves and opens the 4 exhaust valves via a set of rockers. This setup claimed to give similar performance to a DOHC design but with fewer components and a more compact layout, and there's also more space for the valves and intake to be more upright. On top of that, with fewer parts spinning around and creating inertia, the handling is improved too. Africa Twin and older Honda motocross bikes have long adopted a similar setup. For the MT-07 and the Hornet, power is passed through the wheel through a 6-speed wet multiplate clutch transmission, with the Hornet having the advantage of an assist and slipper clutch while the MT-07 doesn't. Unfortunately, only the more race-oriented and sporty sibling of the MT-07, the Yamaha R7, comes with a slipper clutch as standard. Hornet's fuel capacity is larger by 1.2 liters, or a third gallon, than that of the Yamaha, and the claimed fuel consumption of the Hornet is almost similar. Feature-wise, the Hornet is a level above the MT-07. It comes with many features that the MT-07 doesn't have. The MT-07 only gets basic features such as ABS brakes, while the cheaper Honda Hornet surprised us with a ride-by-wire throttle that has 3 preset ride modes, 3 levels of traction control, 3 levels of wheelie control, and 3 levels of engine brake control settings. The quickshifter does not come stock with both bikes. The Hornet's optional quickshifter is capable of auto-blipping or downshifting without using the clutch, while the MT-07's cable-operated throttle with no ride-by-wire didn't have an auto-blipper option available. Both the Hornet and MT are equipped with a 5-inch TFT display that offers Bluetooth connectivity to your smartphone. Honda has HSVC, or Honda Smartphone Voice Control, which is an app that allows you to make specific verbal commands that the app will carry out, with the results displayed on the dash. Besides the voice control, you can also give input via switchgear, which can control navigation, weather, music, messages, and calls. There are also 4 different layouts of speedometer and tachometer displays to choose from. On the other hand, Yamaha has the Y-Connect app, which pretty much does the same thing, minus the voice control and turn-by-turn navigation, but has a ride history record and tracking system that rely on your phone GPS. The app will enable the ability to view incoming notification email, messages, calls, and navigation on your dash, and there are also additional features that the Y-Connect app has, such as tracking and recording key ride data, including distance covered, fuel consumption, acceleration, and more, that you can access through your smartphone. On top of that, there is also a choice of 2 different screen modes. Both the Hornet and the MT-07 have a simple cost-effective diamond-type frame made from steel, with the engine as the stressed member. The engine on this type of frame is hanging from the backbone and is a stressed member of the frame, where it is used as a load-bearing part to help with the bike's overall stiffness. Performance-wise, they're not the best you can get, but they're light, cheap to produce, and provide just enough strength and torsional rigidity for a middleweight commuter bike. Suspension duties on the MT-07 are taken care of by a 41mm KYB conventional telescopic fork, while the Hornet uses a more modern, better performing, but more costly 41mm Showa upside-down fork, with both Hornet and MT forks are non-adjustable. At the rear, both bikes have monoshock suspension, with the MT-07 shock offering adjustable preload and rebound settings, while the Hornet's rear shock can only be dialed for preload. Both bikes come with cast aluminum wheels, and for braking power, the MT-07 is equipped with 4-piston, sliding, or axial mount calipers from Advix. While Honda opted for more superior 4-piston radial or fixed calipers for the Hornet, which are usually seen on bikes with an upside-down fork. And both bikes have almost similar front disc brake diameters. The wheelbase of the Hornet is just slightly longer than the MT-07 by 20mm. And for the rear wheels, Yamaha opted for a wider rim and tire profile, a 5.5-inch rear rim with a 180mm wide rear tire. I think Yamaha opted for style over function on this one, with the choice of a big, fat rear tire for the MT-07. It sure did give a wide, big bike stance, but I think it is too much for the MT's power level. On the other hand, the more powerful Honda Hornet is equipped with a more narrow 4.5-inch rear rim and a 160mm rear tire, which I think suits bikes with sub-100 horsepower better. With a narrower tire, you need less lean angle for a given speed, which adds agility, and also less rotational mass for better acceleration. At the front, the tire profiles for both bikes are identical. Michelin supplied both Yamaha and Honda with their Road 5 tires. For the Hornet though, some will come on Dunlop Sportmax Road Sport 2, which have similar performance and ratings. The MT-07 seat height is 10mm higher, and both have similar widths. The riding positions of the MT-07 and Hornet are typical for naked bikes. Upright position, a high and wide handlebar, and a slightly high foot pegs position. The Hornet has a bit more compact and cramped riding position, making it less comfortable for taller riders, while the MT-07 feels more spacious with its lower foot peg and higher seat height.